And we're good there. Um, and now I'm going to share. I think I got her. All righty. Welcome, everyone. I'm Cindy Myers, and welcome to tonight's webinar. The topic is going to be New Year's resolutions, why they don't work, and how they can. And if you want more information about my work, you can go to my website at www.beananimallistener.com. So one of my, well, I wouldn't say it was resolutions, preparing for the end of the year and the first of the year, something I like to do is kind of do a little review of what hasn't worked and what has worked and what maybe things I want to tweak or improve upon. And that's kind of my goal setting process for the upcoming year. And so for the business perspective, one of the things that I've struggled with is kind of describing what it is I do and how to label it. And one for part of it is I'm resistant to labeling. I don't really care for labeling myself or others. But also, it's just very hard to describe what I do in a nutshell and in a couple of words. And so I've really struggled with it. And just recently, I came across a site of some sort that described a lot of different types of psychic work. You know, they had mediums, they had clairvoyance, they had, a whole lot of different types of ways people use their intuitive skills for helping others. And I came down to one, and there were a number of them that I go, yeah, I can do, animal communicator. Yeah, I do that. And yeah, I don't do a lot of medium work, and that's not my forte in any way, shape, or form. But yeah, I can sometimes tap into the spirits on the other side and get a feel for them, whether it's animals or humans. But I wouldn't classify myself as a medium. But I got to one, and I went, oh, that that describes pretty much 85% of the work that I do, and it was medical intuitive. And I've been familiar with that term and that modality or ability for a long time. It was one of the first books I read when I was opening up to my empathic and intuitive side. Actually, I didn't even know what an empath was back then, but I was just, stuff was happening and I was trying to understand it. And I came across some of Carolyn May's books, and she's a medical intuitive. And I thought, boy, wouldn't that be cool to be able to do that? But I never saw myself as having that ability. And I just stuck with that. I just never looked at myself under that lens. But when I read the description without really looking at what it was, I did, I glanced through the different titles, but I was really reading the description of it, and I went, oh my gosh, that's what I do. And so I went, okay, I think it's time that I come out and describe myself as that, because I think a lot of people can then relate to it a little bit better because it's a little bit more common term. Maybe not as common as a medium or an animal communicator, but it really defines a lot better what it is that I do, because I do a lot more than just communicating with animals. What I do is more medical intuitive work where I can sense empathically. Most of the time it's because of my empathic intuitive abilities. So I can sense what organs, where the trapped emotions are that are affecting organs, or where it's located in your body that's causing the issue, whether it's a behavioral issue or a physical one. And it's not usually an or, it's an and statement. So I can identify it, but I also can then help break up the trapped emotions and the blocked energy blockage that's in your body intuitively. And I do that over the phone. That is the method that I do for both And I do that for animals, adults, and children. So that's a little bit about me and some of the new things that I'm trying to get comfortable with. So thank you for letting me practice talking about uh, being a medical intuitive. So it's going to take a little practice for me in getting comfortable with seeing myself that way. So that's one of my New Year's type of things that, and one of the reasons why I have not been as open to being that was because of fear, which is what we'll talk about. So now that's part of my overcoming and getting comfortable with it and getting practice in talking about myself as a medical intuitive. And it's using all the tools that we're going to be talking about. So with that, let's get going here. Just a little housekeeping. If you're not feeling well or it's an emergency kind of a situation, please call 911. I don't diagnose illnesses, although I can tell you sometimes if something feels like it's not vibrating properly and you might want to check with your doctor. But what I do is by opening up your energy system, it just allows your body's natural healing abilities to help you recover over an illness or a physical situation. But if you have a medical emergency, please call your doctor. Okay, so why resolutions don't work. And I mentioned that with my own trying to overcome my resistance to calling myself a medical intuitive. Why? Because there was a fear. There was some sort of fear engaged with it. Maybe it was, for me, it might have been comparing myself to something like Carolyn Mays, who I have on a pedestal, right? And there's like, oh, there's no way I could ever do anything like what she does. Well, yeah, I actually kind of do. So some of it was just getting comfortable and confident with that concept, and there were a lot of other reasons, but it was very fear-based emotion that was involved, and that's where the resistance was. And as soon as, even if I thought about it, that lizard brain voice would kick in and say, oh no, you can't talk about it like that, that's bad, people will, whatever the blah 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 excuses were that would shut me down, myself down, would engage, and I just went, nope, I can't. I'll figure out another way of describing myself. I'll just call myself an intuitive coach, something that felt safer, quote unquote, safer to my brain. So what's happening when you in the fear state is you're in that reptilian brain, which is why I call it a lizard brain, and it's all about the fight or flight response system. And so for me, I just would freeze. I'd just stop. Nope, not going forward. It's not that I would get mad and fight over something. I would go into freeze mode and go, nope, resistance. I can't go there. That's too scary to go there. So I would stop myself from putting myself out there in that way, all based on fear. So once I realized, again, or read that statement, that's what, well, that's exactly what I do. So why don't I want to call myself that? Then it was easier to go, oh, because you're afraid. And now, because I understand how this works, I'm going, well, do I want that little lizard making the decision on what I should define myself as that would help people understand what I do? Or should I go into more of my conscious brain, and where I can think and be doing stuff about it? Which brain do I want to be in? And of course, I'd rather be in my conscious brain. And so then once I really recognized for myself that it was fear stopping me, then I could go and use the tools that I wanted to do. So when any of the negative emotions are kicking in, when you hear some of the excuses you come up with why you don't want to do your resolution, and it could be any kind of an excuse that's starting to dissuade you, you're in that lizard brain. So if you're trying to exercise, some of you talked about you want to exercise a little bit more, or work on your diet a bit more for your New Year's resolutions. You can do it for a couple of weeks, and you're using your willpower. Then your willpower can really override that lizard brain for a little while, but it takes a lot of work. And then as soon as you let your guard down, that lizard brain goes, got you now. I can come up with some excuses. So, for example, one of my exercises that I'm really like trying to stay involved in and do regularly is swimming, because that feels really good for me to do. And that's my exercise of choice. Well, when I started swimming, I don't know how many times, and I went really good for about 2 weeks. I was going almost every day for 2 weeks, and then that's really hard to keep up that way. And so then I missed a day, and that's okay. And then the next day it got a little harder and a little harder, and the excuses got a little better and a little better, and a little bit easier to accept those excuses. And then pretty soon then I felt bad about myself because I didn't do it. And lizard brain goes, I got you. I got you back under control where I want you. So then I understood this process better, and I went, well, you know what? I really want to choose to swim for a lifelong thing. It's a lifelong commitment. This isn't just about resolving to do it for a few weeks. I want to do it for the rest of my life, type of a thing. So how do I do that? So now it's like, okay, if I miss a day, or if I even miss a week, it's okay. I'm going to go back because I'm going to go swimming for the rest of my life. So I've reshifted kind of a different paradigm shift, where I'm not blaming or getting upset with myself if I miss. But what I am doing is then when I feel like that lizard brain is kicking in and I start hearing the excuses too much, then I'm going to go into my conscious brain and use tools that we're going to talk about. And by using those tools, then I can kind of turn the volume down on that lizard brain. And I'm making a choice now. I'm making a serious choice and going, I am choosing going to the pool. Yes, it's hard. Yes, I've got lots of reasons why it's not. But you know what? This is a lifelong commitment. This is going to allow me to do my work better on the farm and for my clients, and that's a very high priority to me. So I'm making the time and I'm choosing to do that. I'm going to take some deep breaths to quiet down the lizard brain. I'm going to say a few gratitudes. I'm so grateful that I have some time and making time and choosing to do this. And I know when I'm done, I'm going to feel so much better for going. And I can even be in the parking lot and lizard brain is still trying to get me, oh, but it's cold out. Oh, you need to run to the grocery store. You should do that instead. And if I hear should, then I go, that's lizard brain. No more. Quiet down. I'm going swimming. So I'm constantly having this argument, my internal argument with myself, fighting to stay in my conscious brain. But because I'm recognizing certain words that are trying to get me back into my lizard brain, I can combat it more. So negative emotions equals fear. So I want you to realize that. So if there is a fear component in any of the negative emotions, and that's what derails you off of your New Year, off of your resolutions, off of your exercise, off of your diets. So if those are really important to you, we'd all eat perfectly if we didn't have that lizard brain going, oh no, you really want that cookie. So and realize we're not going to be perfect about it. And it's okay. It's okay not to be perfect at this stuff. The point is, if we can do this more times than not, then we're going to be living healthier. And the more times we do it, that becomes the habit. Now I want to swim. It's easier to get to the pool. I miss it a lot more when I don't get there. So I'm excited when I do, when I can get back into it. So you have a shift. So it's not the lizard brain that's really dissuading me anymore. I'm making choices, but now I can't wait. Okay, I missed a couple days, or there's stuff going on at the pool's closed for this, the season, or for the holiday season. Oh, I can't wait till it's open again. So there's a totally different shift, because now the habit has changed into the positive habit instead of the negative habit. So look at your emotions and really see if you can tell when it's a fear state versus, if look at your emotions, and if those excuses are fear based, if there are negative emotion involved, realize negative emotion equals fear. So here's some tools, and this I kind of mentioned it before, and how I work at getting myself to doing something that I'm resistant to. I'm listening to my excuses that I'm coming up with, and one of my standard little phrases that I used before I even did any of this work, when I worked as an engineer at the Navy base, and everybody would give me excuses on why they were late or couldn't do something and whatever. They had a bazillion excuses on why something they didn't do their job the way they were supposed to. And I look at them, I go, excuses are like buttholes. Everybody's got one. So we all have lots of excuses on why we derail ourselves off of these things. So what we do want, though, are some tools and techniques that can help us achieve what we want to achieve. And for those of you that have been on my webinars before, it's a repeat, but it's because this is what I do, and it doesn't matter whether it's a New Year resolution or just doing something, a normal daily task. This is exactly what I do to try and shift my thinking, for getting me to get comfortable with coming on and saying I'm a medical intuitive tonight. I take a few deep breaths. I poured some peace and calm into me so that I'm getting out of my lizard brain and going into my conscious brain. And the more I do that, and when I really want to supercharge it and get my calm brain, my parasympathetic response system engaged so that really turns down the volume of that lizard brain, I do several gratitudes. So it's like, okay, I'm so grateful I've got a few people coming on tonight, so I get to practice calling myself a medical intuitive. Yes, this is going to be such a great opportunity. I'm grateful because I was talking to somebody earlier today, and I got to practice talking about myself as a medical intuitive with them. Oh, and I'm taking deep breaths the whole time. And I'm thinking, before I even started the webinar tonight, peace and calm. And, I'm so grateful because tonight I'm going to remember to share my screen. Things that I would come up with that just in pouring in chemicals, because emotions are just chemicals. So I'm pouring in the chemicals that are positive emotions, which are much higher frequency than the negative emotions. So breathe. And I like the emotions of peace and calm, because it really does help ground you and calm you down, slow things down instead of getting into the fight or flight response system, which is adrenaline based. We want to be in the calming system. And gratitude. So if you're in a peace, one thing for peace and calm, you can maybe think of a color or just a setting. I like, my favorite time of the day is typically right after I've fed my alpacas. They pump out just such a sweet energy afterwards. Their tummies are happy. It's kind of duskish, and they're just kind of in this relaxed state. They're kind of nibbling on a little grass before they settle in for the evening. And they're just happy. They're very happy. And they pump out this beautiful, sweet energy. And it's just such a sense of peace and calm out in my field. And I just love it. I just love standing out there for a little bit and soaking it up. And tonight was even one more wonderful because my neighbor's mini donkey was out, so I got to enjoy seeing him. So I was just soaking up this beautiful peace and calm energy that I could take in and carries it through as I prepared for tonight's webinar. And it's still, and I don't know if you could even sense through the computer, as I'm talking about it, I'm reliving that. My energy just dropped down. Because my adrenaline was picking up a little bit just talking about the anxiety piece. So just thinking about those things, my master chef brain is pumping those emotions out, which gets my adrenaline going. So if I can breathe, take a few deep breaths, and just picturing being out in my field with my alpacas, my energy came down a couple notches. And then doing gratitudes. Doing 2 or 3 gratitudes pumps in, again, a very high frequency emotion. It can literally take about 2 minutes to shift your energy from your fight or flight, adrenaline based, non thinking brain to your thinking brain, much calmer in, energy level by saying the several gratitudes and doing the breathing. Doing those 3 steps, it takes about 2 minutes to shift you from that state to the other. So, I want to keep it simple because if you're in the fight or flight response system, you're not in your thinking brain. So you want to have something really super simple that can help you take you from the excuses to your actions to doing what it is you really want to be doing, which is going to exercise or eating something more healthy or whatever it might be. Okay. So I mentioned colors. Here's the frequency emotion chart that I've shown a number of times, but you can see on the bottom of the screen, the negative emotions are very slow, moving, low frequencies. And as we get into love and gratitude is up there probably by around love and joy or even higher, and then see where peace is, that's really high up there, right? So if you can think of something peaceful, peace and calm, like I do with my being out in the evening with my alpacas, that can be just very zen like. And again, you're pumping those emotions, that frequency into your body, and it's totally calming you down. Okay. And it's great if you have animals that are anxious and you want to help them calm down. If you can get yourself into that peaceful state, they totally pick up your energy and because you're radiating it out. It's not just within your within your body. You're pumping it out, and the animals around you are picking it up, and they're very good at going, "Oh, that feels much better. I rather have that energy than this lower negative, the fear state stuff." They'll go, "Oh no, I'd rather be into this other state." So they'll release some of their anxiety and calm down. So I highly encourage you trying that with your pets if you have any. So with that, I welcome you to the new year. We're going to be doing some new webinars. I was actually meeting with somebody today about it, and we might be teaming up and having some interesting topics on some other uh, areas of wellness and some ideas for you. So I might be inviting her on possibly the next one, which will be the animal and emotions webinar. I don't know if she's available, but we'll get her on soon. And to discuss some of the stuff that we were talking about today. So that'll be really interesting and exciting. I'm anxious to learn more about it myself. So check out my events page because we'll be posting stuff on that regularly, if I remember to do so. So if you have any questions, just check out my website at beananimallistener.com. I have a number of services that might be of service to you. I like to start people with my starter package, which is a 45-minute session with a follow-up 15-minute session. And then I also have a package of 4 15-minute sessions. And those are great for little tweaks and tune-ups when you just are feeling a little out of sorts, but you don't need the bigger session or coaching, or we need to get into more evolved events. And again, I work on humans, adults, children, and animals. So with that, please check out my website. And also, if you wouldn't mind sharing, if I've been of any help to you, I would appreciate you sharing my website or what I do with others to help keep me in business. I need your help in sharing what I do. So I would appreciate that. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing and open it up to questions. And again, you can put it in the Q&A box or raise your hand. And some of you I can probably, I might be able to bring you on audio. And if you have any questions, just type them up. Anybody? Or any questions on New Year's resolutions or helping you, anybody that's blocked about. So the other thing with New Year's resolutions is that a lot of times we have a blocked emotion. We have trapped emotions that are really keeping us from doing it. So it's not always enough just to try and muscle your way through with the techniques. It gets a whole lot easier if we can remove some of the trapped emotions that are blocking you from those from achieving those new habits that you're trying to create. And then by using those tools, then it's a whole lot easier. But yeah, we want to get rid of any of the trapped emotions. Definitely want to do that in order to help you get those habits going, especially to get it started sometimes. Or you've got them started, but you want to maintain them. And if you start seeing you're slipping back, we want to get rid of those trapped emotions and then get a little coaching to keep you going. It takes, it can take a couple months to really get the new habit well established. And then sometimes you get into the old habit and then we might be falling back down. And there are some other things you can clues that your fear brain is about to engage, and those are there's several keywords: could, should, would, and need. If you hear those coming out of your mouth, that's about to take over. Okay, and you're going to go into your fear-based brain. Okay, the lizard brain is about to take over. So if it's could, should, would, like shoulda, coulda, woulda, or I need to do that. I really need to get to the pool. Then if I hear that, then I know my fear brain is taking over. My lizard brain is about to just take off, and it's going to come up with lots of reasons why I don't want to go to the pool. So if I hear that word need, I stop myself really fast now and go, ooh, I heard that. I have a real radar to it. And that too took practice, just listening to those key words. And that really is almost half the battle, is recognizing when the fear brain, when your lizard brain is taking over. Because most of the time we have no idea that it's running the show. So really, our work, it isn't the habit itself or the end state goal that's the hard part. It's just learning how to listen to when that fear break is coming in. So Sam, you were talking about being in the moment. That's where being in the moment is so important, because you're listening to the words you're using. If you can be in the moment and hear, I just said I need to do that. Oh, that's lizard brain. Okay, let me use those techniques. Let me take a few deep breaths, gratitudes. Okay, what is it? What would it take now to really go get myself to the pool? What would it take? What would it take to get myself to the gym? What would it take to go take a walk? What would it take to have that salad instead of that, hamburger? Whatever it might be. But the first thing is just to go, what is, when you're getting triggered and going into your fear brain, then you can use those other tools. Let's see, I got Sonia. Hi Cindy, are you able to do group release or release on Georgia, Rusty, Leo, and Bella Mason if she's around, because the fireworks made them scared? Oh yeah, fireworks are we had my neighbors set some stuff off, and boy did my kid, my dog quake in her boots for about an hour. So yeah, yeah, I can do group release on your cat, on your animals. So let me do that. Okay, I cleared it on all of them. Um, and I've done that a number of times for people that have a multiple animal pet home. Um, and by doing some group work, it was actually very interesting sessions because the group dynamics was very the ener- energy isn't just within ourselves. We all act like little radars and we radiate it out. And so our energies can blend. It's like an orchestra. We might be all playing our own instrument, but if somebody is out of tune, it can upset the entire orchestra, right? You can tell the one is out, but it's hard to maintain your the rest has a hard time staying in tune because this other one is kind of off. So you're trying to adjust to the one that's off so it doesn't sound quite as bad sometimes. So getting everybody in tune, um, when it can take everybody out of balance. So by figuring out what the emotion is that's causing everybody to be out of balance, I can release it as a group and then rebalance everybody like I'm tuning an orchestra. So by retuning everybody that's in the family dynamic within, and it's also the human, not just the animal, that they can then be in sync better, and it just kind of feels better. Um, and so far, folks have said they've noticed a difference both with the animals and themselves. And the animal said, "That's not us. Can you change the human?" And they have said that. Um, so that was great. Thank you, Sonia. Denise, what about when you are stuck around negative people and are energy vampires? Oh, energy vampires. Yeah, and if you're around others that are negative Nellies, um, I do a couple things. If I know I'm going into a setting that might potentially have that energy vampires around me, I kind of that chart that I had up, and I can share that again. I think. Let me get that chart up. There we go. Now let me. I haven't shared it yet, so I know that. There we go. Here's that chart. So before I'm going to somebody's or going someplace where I feel like it could have negative energy or be around energy vampires, I think of love or above. So when I say love or above, I'm looking at the green, that purple, the blue, all the way to the violet. You know, any of those colors. So I'll think of love. I'll think of peace and calm, and I'll send those emotions ahead of me. So if I were in a meeting and a contentious, I thought it had the potential of being quite contentious, I would send that and flood the room with that peace and calm and positive energy ahead of me. And a lot of times, either the energy vampire person, the worst instigator that helps bring everybody else down to their level, um, they don't show up. They either go away or something, or they're really quiet. It just doesn't have as much of an impact. And the others that usually uh, might get drawn into their stuff, and then they kind of feed off of each other a little bit or a lot. They don't have the same. It just doesn't have the same dynamic, and intuitively and consciously they go, "Oh, this feels better," so they're more positive. And so it kind of breaks up that hold that, because it's usually one, maybe two people that are the real energy vampires. It's just that the others just kind of adjust to that. Again, it's that tuning, it's that orchestra tuning. So they're tuning to the negative emotion. But if you do it ahead of time, like you're going to that place and it's kind of negative, I'm going to just send it before I get there. So that room is just flooded with that information. It's like I'm pouring it through the air ducts, the air conditioning, the heating, whatever. It's flooded into that space, all ahead of me, waiting for me to come in. And it's most of the time very different results. And all I have to do is picture again love or above, or peace and calm. And in a situation like that, I would probably go with peace and calm, because again, it's magnitudes higher even than love. And so the peace, and because really what I want is peace and calm. If I'm in a work environment or someplace like that, I want peace and calm. Even out in my fields where the boys, I'll give you a really good example of some of it. They aren't really energy vampires, but they would make me crabbier than crabby. When I went to feed my one group of boys, they're the first group that I feed at night, and there's just 3 of them, but every night would be just make me so crabby, because Donatello would spit at me because he gets too hyper and competitive over the food. So he would spit and nail me way too often. Chirango would bonk into me because he's ducking out of the way and doesn't want to get beat up by the other 2. So he's hiding right behind me and bonking into me. And Calvin likes to circle around all of us. So it was just mayhem every single night. And it just makes me nuts because it's not the kind of energy. And I certainly don't like to get spat on. So, and I spit back, which just, it's all negative emotions then, because it makes me angry. I'm down in the negative emotion, and I'll pull myself out of it as fast as I can. But if you get spit by an alpaca every night, you get cranky. So what I've shifted it to was I go to peace and calm, and as I'm entering into their area, I think to them, peace and calm, and we're going to walk to your bowls with peace and calm, boys, and polite manners. And I'm taking my deep breaths, and I'm picturing again peace and calm walking to our bowls. And I got very, very specific how I want the peace and calm. And as soon as I did it that specifically with them, guess what? They walked beautifully to their bowls and waiting in front of me, waiting for me to dump their pellets into their bowls. And we've done it now several times. I've forgotten to do it, but now it's already the habit, because again, it feels better. So they don't enjoy getting the frenetic, yucky stuff. They've got to experience how it feels to do it in the polite, calm way. And you go, oh, that's way better. Okay. And so there's been a couple times where I've forgotten to prime them and tell them what it is that I want them to do. Walk to your bowls with peace and calm. They do it now on their own. I do try, when I do remember, if I think about it ahead of time, I do want to prime it and remind them and do it. And I remind myself. But I have not had them spit once since I started doing that. So it primes them to do it the way we want it. Peace and calm is really, really powerful. So I encourage you to try doing that, and see if you don't notice a difference. And this is exactly what I do in going into town, because I'm an empath, and that energy, I'm a sponge for people. I don't want to be around energy vampires. And it's rare now that I'm around anybody crabby when I go into town. So going into town now for me is not horrible. It's actually pleasant, because I've been having really pleasant interaction with people that I never had before, rarely had before. I had to have my shields up so high and tight that I was either really invisible, so I didn't have any interaction, or I had negative ones. And now that I'm using that method of sending it ahead of me, it's almost always really pleasant. Okay, so let's see. Any other questions? Let's see. Yeah. So Sonia says she had 2 relatives that were real intense this past week, and boy, was it draining. Yeah. If you're around really intense negative energy people, it can be really tough. And a lot of times we don't realize how empathic we are. Some I get A lot of my clients don't realize that they're empaths. Uh, and we're just a lot more sensitive to these energy vampire people, and we tend to attract them unless we figure out these tools on how to protect ourselves. And the best protection is just sending something out that they don't like, and then they go away. It really is cool. So Sonia, you go to the gym for 20 minutes to release stuff. That's great. I can't go to a gym because everybody's releasing stuff. So guess what? They're releasing it and you'd feel better for 20 afterwards. But I go in and I want to kill somebody when I leave because I've just absorbed all your stuff. So it is not the exercise method of my choice. That's why I need to swim. I choose to swim because the water doesn't usually hold that. It washes it away and dissipates it. So it's rare that I pick up somebody else's yucky stuff that they're working out in the water. And it's just a better place for me. Gail, I have trapped emotions in your shoulder, generally indecisiveness. Does this area trap more of this emotion when I'm making food choices? Well, let's ask. Oh, no, no, it's something different. It's probably in a different area than your shoulder for food choices. I would imagine it's more in your intestinal area. Yeah, yeah, it's more um, in your digestive and intestinal tract area are where those emotions are. The shoulder is more, it's a different fear based. It's more related to like self esteem issues. They can be related, but that one is just more, oh, shoulders, shoulders and arms. It's like carrying your weight, you're needing to do stuff. You're carrying loads. You're carrying a load. It's kind of like Atlas. Think of the myth Atlas carrying a lot. That's what your shoulders are holding up the world. And so if you have a weakness in that area, it's because you're not in balance and you're not able to carry the load properly. Whereas a diet would be, in some ways, it probably be more in the other region, and so that's just know you're, you're either how would I put that? Not able to. Well, you're not digesting things properly. um, so information you're not digesting. You're probably the consciousness piece. When you're not digesting things well, you're not being as aware of what's going on around you. So I would look at one of the books I would recommend if you don't have it already is look up the Louise Hay's books. I don't know. Oh, it's right here. Oh my gosh, how about that? It's handy. This little book. Heal Your Body. Heal Your Body. It's just a little book, and you probably can't see anything in it, but it's just a chart with a whole lot of stuff in it, and it goes to your spine and all that. But it can list different things. So let's see if it has anything for stomach real fast. I don't have my glasses on, so uh, the letters are getting smaller. Dread, fear of the new, inability to assimilate the new. So if it's related, and I would say diet is kind of related to your stomach, and again, that tract. And so it's a fear of the new change. So what is emotion intestines? Oh, okay. Intestines, it has the different ones. The small intestines are abandonment, betrayal, loss, love unreceived, effort unreceived, heartache, insecurity, vulnerability. Stomach would be anxiety. Anxiety is a big one for stomach. Nervousness, disgust, worry. failure, helplessness, hopelessness, low self-esteem, which is what I kind of mentioned there, lack of control. Those are the main ones for the digestive area. And so when when I can sense an organ that is out of balance and really in a vulnerable state or kind of in a crisis, ready to really be sick, or it's already incredibly sick, I do a special technique that really clears that specific organ and clear all the emotions that are related to that, because they can be emotions. We can use emotions, but I see it as a range of frequencies. So I'm really clearing and zapping and rebalancing and tuning to those frequencies in that specific organ. So if somebody is having a kidney issue or a liver issue, I'm going to really focus in on that organ, and I can zap into it and remove a whole lot of emotions that are related specifically into that organ, and what its natural, every organ vibrates at its own natural frequency. So when it's not functioning at its optimum, it's not vibrating correctly. There's a distortion. So it's, instead of a nice sine wave or something, it's got a wonky thing. So I'm tuning. I can sense what that is, and try and tune it to so it's vibrating at more its natural frequency. So that's what kind of how I'm doing it. Let's see. Sonia had a vision of a cat silhouette. Wonder what this is about or who. I'm not sure. Well, if you're, when I get images like that pop in my head, one thing that there's a couple ways I work with it. If that's an idea of intuition kicking in, is when I have a book that I use a lot, that I read about what that animal, that totem animal represents. So that can give me insights. But I also might have a personal relationship to it. So if I'm a real cat person, like you're a cat person, so maybe I might have a personal relationship to that, or something is trying to come in, or it could be one of my animals, one of my own cats trying to talk to me and letting me know. So I kind of will ask myself quick little yes or no questions and try and puzzle it out. It becomes a mystery, little bit of a treasure hunt in trying to understand what intuition is kicking in towards, that wants me to understand. Because when I'm working with somebody, I'm not getting paragraphs of words coming in. I'm getting a word. I'm getting a quick thought. I'm getting a quick image, like you did with maybe a quick silhouette of something, or a quick vision of something, or quick sound, whatever it might be. And then it's a treasure hunt, a puzzle to try and see what else I can sort through. So I'll be asking a lot of yes and no questions to help guide me, or ask you a lot of yes or no questions. Um, and that just helps me refine it and get closer and closer to going, oh, that's what we're trying to understand about it. So if I'm not sure and I know I got a hit, or I'll see something multiple times, like I just saw a hawk sitting there, and then I saw one outside and another one. When I start seeing stuff like that, then I go to my books and I start going, okay, what was it that I need to learn about the hawk, for example? So I keep books handy. I have one in my phone that I can look stuff up quickly if I'm out and about, and then I have stacks of books. And I'll be happy to, somebody remind me some point. If you want a book listing of some of these books, sometime I can put that together and send you out some book titles if you want to expand your library for some of the resources that I use all the time or that I found handy. I'm happy to share that with you all. Any other questions? Anybody wants me to try and release anything for them? We've got a couple minutes here. Any questions about resolutions or resolve stuff? A book list would be great. Okay, be happy to do that for y'all. And also, I'll be transparent with you. Um, I've become a Amazon affiliate, so I'll be giving you the links, and if you use those links, then I get a little commission off of it. So I'd appreciate that. If you don't, that's fine. It doesn't matter because some people don't do that. But you're welcome to using it however you wish. But if you use the links that I send you, then I get a little bit. I get a little bit, and every little bit helps right now. Sam, can you do some releases for your digestive tract? Sure. Hmm. So abandonment. You want the age? I'll do it. 33. Age 33 for abandonment. I cleared it. Feels lower. Where the block is, it's not high up in the intestinal tract. I'm trying to picture it a little bit better. So yeah, it's quite low, far along into the intestinal tract, where I see the block, the main blockage. At least that's what it's showing me right now. Um, Let me see if I can't move that along and get that energy unblocked. And it's a lot of what I find when I work with people that are having intestinal, GI issues. Um, I find that the trapped energy, and it makes total sense that the trapped um, energy, because the intestines zig, kind of coil back and forth on each other. So where the sharp turns are, that's where the trapped emotions kind of like to block things, and so things kind of block up, and then when the things go, then it goes too fast, and it's just like a dam. So things that either they're coming out way too fast or not at all because it's blocked. And this is true also, especially I've helped horses a number of times now, uh, that founder, and when they can't poop. And I find that there's trapped emotions, especially in those blocked areas, which is very dangerous for the horses, of course. So if I can remove the trapped emotions that are blocking stuff, they still have food gunk, you know, in that's blocking things. But if I can remove enough of the trapped emotions, sometimes that's enough for their body again to kind of help finally push the hay and stuff that's getting clumped up in these sharp turns, and they can start pooping. So it can help along with your vet, but sometimes it takes a while for the vet to get out there, to some farms, and so people call me, and I can start working on the animal while they're waiting for the vet to get there, and sometimes they start pooping before the vet gets there, which is helpful for everybody concerned. So, so for you, that's where that was, and let's see if I can clear anything else out. And it's interesting because a lot of us, well, we're talking about for New Year's resolutions, diets, for a number of people, and so again, that's sometimes where the trapped emotion is located, is in that trap, and so getting rid of those trapped emotions, that's where it's located, but the habit, is up here too. It's mind, body, spirit. Think about that. They all work. They're and statements. It's not that one is off and that's it. It's usually all three, especially when we're talking about a resolution thing. That trapped emotion is also probably affecting us physically as well as the habit, emotionally, mindfully. So, uh, Yeah, there's another spot right in that section, Sam. I think I need to work on that area. I think we have an appointment coming up. Hopefully, that releasing what I did will help things along. But I'm seeing one spot that I want to do some extra energy work on at some point, is I can kind of see when we have some GI issues. Sometimes those tissues get inflamed and cranky, and so the tissues themselves need some extra. It's not always enough just to release the trapped emotions, and I want to as a medical intuitive, I do some extra stuff, and where I can do extra healing work into the tissues and pour some energy into those areas, so that can help get the cells going to where it needs to. We really boost that energy into those spaces, and I really sense it's really like a pinprick of a spot, is what I was seeing. But we want to kind of get some healing into that spot because it's cranky right there. Okay, so you've got an appointment. Good. So if you need something before that appointment, just let me know, because we want to get that spot kind of feeling better. Uh, and you're wondering if it's related to your great niece that arrived before, started before. Well, probably anxiety. So anxiety is related to your stomach. You're excited, even good anxiety. It's still adrenaline based, and that messes with your stomach a bit, which changes your pH because you're now more acidic because you're in a stress state. And if you're in that higher stress state for a little while, that just totally messes things up, and it can take a while for things to get back on track. So yes, getting rid of the trapped emotions that are related to even happy stress. um, we want to we it just takes our bodies out of balance, and it screws us up. After I had uh, Kriya, with her baby alpacas on the farm here, which is was always really exciting and fun, and but it was also very stressful. But after they were born, and they're just so darn cute, uh, but it was a very adrenaline based day or two, and it took about 48 hours, 2 to 3 days, and I would get sick to my stomach, kind of. My stomach would act all wonky, and that was just because of all the adrenaline. It takes several days for all that adrenaline, especially if it's ongoing for a long period of time. Then it really can take a good. I mean, it's toxic to our bodies. We can't get rid of it, and it it can create havoc with us. That's why they say stress is a killer. Stress is it really messes with our energy and takes us so out of wonkiness, especially in our GI tract. And that's how we absorb food, our nutrients. So, and everything in our body requires those nutrients to work right. So it takes our whole system out of balance. Stress. We can figure out how to deal with stress more effectively. We are so much healthier and happier. And all overall, if we can do one thing and help you all figure out how to deal with stress, so many of your other issues would just disappear. Just saying. Michelle, you released some stuff on me for my cold last time, and it's still not 100% gone. Oh no. Just wondering if there's anything else that needs to be released. So something is hanging on, huh? So probably stress also. That's another thing that lowers your immune system. So let's go ahead and release some more stuff for you, Michelle, and boost your energy. Especially your first chakra, which is kind of supports your immune system. So let me do that. Okay, worthless is the emotion, and it's in your gland. That would be related to your glands, which um, the lymph nodes, all that stuff. So let me release that. So yeah, right. It's in this side. Is it on more your right? Was like your sore throat and stuff more on your right? You might even feel it, like there's a gland. Mm. But I'm also feeling a little, like a little stuck stuff right here on the left side as well. But the one is right, kind of on your throat. Oh, let me see if I can clear a little more on that. Overwhelm, maybe a little holiday overwhelm. Okay, so that one feels better on the right. The left is still, oh, that's kind of painful on the left. I don't know if you can feel right there. Does it, like under your chin? Um, there's a gland right there. I don't know if you can feel the discomfort. Your tax accountant. Stress is just starting for you then. Do you get lower back issues too at this time? You probably get a lot of clients that get lower back. Lower back is money. So people, I get a lot of people with lower back issues around March, end of March, early April, because they have. And my first question is, "Did you do your taxes yet?" And they go, "No, not yet. I need to do them." And I say, "Uh huh." Uh, so let's see. Left, that's this spot here. Lost. There. Now feel under your chin. It's still a little bit there, but it's not. It was kind of painful when you pushed on it. So see if that is a little less discomfort, and that will tell us if we got it moving. Both of these feel a little bit better. It's a little tender. Seems better. Okay, good. Let me just balance you a little bit more and boost that first chakra. Okay, good. Excellent. So we're at the top of the hour. If anybody has any other questions or comments, we can take a quick one. What does lost mean? It could have been when you were a little kid and you got lost down an aisle at the grocery store. It could be that you're lost and you don't know what to do with yourself. And it doesn't mean it's happening in this moment. It's again, this is stuck energy. I've released stuff in adults that happened when they were in the womb. So I could tell you what age it got stuck. It's easier if you tell me what your age is right now, if you want to know when it happened. You type that in real fast. 61. Okay. 33. And I'm accurate plus or minus a year because it could be you're almost 34, but 33 or at the cusp of 32 to 33. So anywhere between 32 to 34 is when that one of lost occurred. You know, we could feel totally, that's when your husband abandoned you and your 1-year-old son. So yeah, you'd feel pretty lost with that experience, right? So what a traumatic event. So I'm sorry about that. Well, tough. But it really created probably a huge number of trapped emotions that are still in your body. We'd want to get rid of as much of that as we could to just help, where they're located. It could be why some of the cold is lingering on. Is there something? Sometimes there's post-traumatic stress that happens, that something gets triggered and you're trying to hang on to something and our body is working with it. Again, it's unconscious. So we want to when we get rid of those trapped emotions, it doesn't change. It doesn't mean you don't remember any of these things. It just doesn't have as much of the power behind it, the drive. And then by getting rid of these trapped emotions, then we can create it's easier to create the new habit. It just doesn't have as much hold on us. Because some of these trapped emotions and creating, for the New Year's resolutions, what we're talking about, they can be really related to post-traumatic type events that have occurred in our lives. And that's why it's so hard to let it go, is because there's a part of your body that says, no, this is what saved our life. We don't want to let this go. Or so when it get triggered, you're really reliving that whole cycle. And whatever the habit, the outcome of it was, that process that's saved your life, was whatever how created the habit. And your body said, well, this is how I survived before, so I'm going to keep doing this. I'm going to keep doing this pattern. But it isn't necessarily what is in our best interest long term. And so becoming conscious of it, that we're being triggered, and sometimes it isn't always important to know why it got started. It's just that, okay, I know I'm being triggered because I've heard the word I need to, I should, I could, I would. All those things that's stopping me to doing the healthier choice. I'm going to get rid of those trapped emotions, so it just can be easier to make that next step, that new habit that I really, really would prefer trying to do, that I believe will be better for me in the bigger picture, getting to the pool. But I'll tell you, when I got derailed, a lot of the old stuff, it was because my competitive, I swam competitively as a kid, and it wasn't fun. It wasn't always fun for me. It wasn't my thing. And I wasn't into competition, but my older sisters were into it. And I stunk. I was really, really slow no matter how hard I worked out. And so when I would get into the pool, and I'd see other people passing me, and we weren't doing the same workout, but my unconscious brain would be back as that 10-year-old kid that felt terrible because I was trying my best and I just stunk at it. And I was getting yelled at a lot by the coaches because they thought I was lazy, but I was trying my very best. I was just really slow. So here I am as an adult trying to get healthy about it, and then I'd feel terrible about it because I was so stinking slow. So clear those trapped emotions, created a new habit, and now I absolutely love going to the pool. And I don't swim competitively. I just make up my own thing, and I have a ball. It's great. I enjoy it very, very much. But I had to shift it and get rid of that old junk, become aware, listen to my language until the new habit was established. But there was a lot of some old garbage that was hanging on. So I had to get rid of that crap. Does that work with trust issues? Yep, yep, yep. Trust issues are all because you had an experience. Your body said somebody hurt you, and to your fight or flight response system, that just means, a lion jumped out and bit you. So anybody, I better not go past that, do that again with this person, with anybody again, because I'm going to get bit. So you're totally in your unconscious fight or flight response system when it comes to trust. So what you want to do is get rid of the trapped emotions. Also go, well, I don't want to keep repeating the same pattern with that type of person, because now I'm vibrating. It's those energy vampires, that somebody that did something wrong. I don't want to have them show up and do the right thing. I want to attract the people that wouldn't do that to me in the first place. So the habit is not to keep attracting the same type of person that's going to hurt you. I'm going to attract people that would never think of doing that in the first place. Then I can reestablish and create the new relationships, which will be our topic in February, by the way. It's going to be all about fear in relationships. So thank you for that nice setup. let's see, and you're like twirling in the water. Um, yeah, when you get stuck in that, so you can feel like that, kind of like being in that cyclone of water where you can't get out. Or think of it as uh, uh, the riptides. Where you're trying to get it to the shore and you can't get there because the tide keeps taking you out. That's what trapped emotions do. You're trying, and with these New Year's resolutions, you're swimming as hard as you can, and that's what it's like with in the fear state. You're swimming and you're in a riptide. As you stay in that lizard brain, it's really really hard to get out of that. We want to clear the trapped emotions out. So now you're getting yourself into calmer water. Now you can swim to where you want to get to. Okay, so that's where that twirling water is that's the trapped emotion stuff. We want to get rid of some of that trapped emotion so it calms the water, so now you can get movement. Then you can establish some of the new habits. But if you're really stuck into the trapped emotions, it's really hard. You're in the riptide. Yeah, and if you're in a riptide, you really have to calm down because you get in that fight or flight response system. You breathe shallowly, your respiration, your panic. If you're in a panic, you can't think. And so to get out of a riptide, right? They tell you no, don't just swim to shore. You kind of swim along parallel to the shore until you can get out of it. Then you can come in. So that's kind of what these trapped emotions are when you're trying to establish these new habits. If you, the willpower, your willpower is trying to go against the riptide, and you just don't get anywhere. And that's why you go right back to the old habit. It just sucks you right back. So we want to get you out of the riptide so then you can move forward. Okay. This has been great. I hope you all have enjoyed tonight. I recorded it. I remembered to share the screen, so I did pretty. Hey, 1 for 1 for the new year. All right. Started off the new year right. I remembered. So I will be sending you all a recording of this. Please feel free to share it with anybody you think might be of interest to the topic tonight or be interested in the work that I do as a medical intuitive. And I look forward to seeing you all again soon. The next webinar will be an animal and emotions webinar in 2 weeks. And actually, there's a third Wednesday in January. So I don't know if anybody's interested in doing another bonus kind of webinar. I've been thinking about it. So it might be a spontaneous kind of a thing. If you're interested in it, let me know and we'll throw something together maybe and just see what we'll give. Also, keep an eye out in your inbox because I got a special thing coming up in a couple weeks. So keep an eye out in your inbox because we'll be sending that out to you. So with that, thank you all for coming on tonight. I hope you all had a happy new year. Let's make 2019 a really fantastic year for everybody. And if I can help you make that happen, please let me know. All right. Have a great night. Bye all.